and I think you did a good job, but I think trials are about telling stories. In the opening statement, you want to say, this is what the evidence is going to show, you preface it, and you try to tell a story so that the trier effect is listening for testimony that falls in line with that. And then at the end, you get into your argument, and you turn up your emotion and so forth. And I thought Mr. Grant, it's Mr. Grant, right? I thought you did an excellent job in closing. In the beginning, I thought everybody started a little bit quiet. I think we let a couple things off the hook. To me, I'm looking at the case, I've never seen this. I thought the most damning piece of evidence was $200,000 deposited into the account.
Absolutely.
Right after this happened. And I don't think either side emphasized that enough. Where did the money come from if it wasn't a bribe? And it's like, come on, I don't have to see a briefcase change hands. She's got $200,000 there, and all these other things led up to it. It's like, you know, in Michigan, the instruction for circumstantial evidence is you can prove things by direct or circumstantial evidence, and circumstantial evidence in and of itself can convict someone, and, you know, direct evidence is you see it raining. Circumstantial evidence is somebody comes in from outside wearing a raincoat covered with water. Well, that's pretty good evidence that it's probably raining outside because it directly leads to that. But I thought it was well done. You have a voice to be a lawyer. You have, no,
Yeah,
serious.
we were both
Yeah.
like,
No,
both
it's-
that voice though.
No,
Dang,
you have a
voice.
professional voice, and that will really resonate well with juries. I thought everybody's pace was pretty good. I think in general, I thought cross-exams are hard. I think we let a couple people off the hook. You always want to finish a cross-exam with a strong admission if you can. In general, on direct exam, you go slower, more deliberate, and I thought both sides did a good job on direct exam of laying out testimony. You tend to stand further away and let your client elaborate a little bit. If they want to give a narrative response, that's fine. It's the other side's job to file, you know, to object. Let them tell their story, you know, because in general, juries don't like a lot of objections. If you object a lot, they tend to think you're trying to hide something. Whereas on cross-exam, you want to have a faster pace. You don't have to be so darn friendly on cross-exam. You can get kind of up in their face. You can challenge them a little bit and pick up the pace. And I think some of you did a good job at picking up the pace. Well, isn't this true? Isn't this true? And then, well, you did deposit $200,000 the day after you voted for this, didn't you? And then you sit down. And you leave with something strong. But good job.
Sure. My name is Bruce Elsey. I am a trial attorney. I'm a public defender in the city of Detroit. I try felony trials. I used to do mock trial here at Eastern. Then I went to Wayne State Law School. I did mock trial there. And now I'm doing real trials. So it's refreshing to get back and see fake trials again where nothing's at stake. Overall, everybody did a good job. I didn't write a terrible amount of comments. Everybody has their own style, their own preference, their own posture, their own thing. I'm not really going to tell you how to find your own thing, and chances are everybody's in their young 20s. You have no idea what your style or posture or anything like that is. That you just won't figure that out for a long time.
And that's an excellent point, because you get some young attorneys that will appear and they all want to like mimic somebody they saw on TV, or they put on this big, you develop your own style. And there's a lot of styles that are very, very different that are still very, very effective. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're all right, Judge. You used to saying that, by the way.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that we made it to the last witness before the first actual objection happened. And I know I wrote down on my sheet, and you'll say, I wrote yay, objection, on the comment section, because we made it that, I mean, there were tons of objections that could have been made. And in mock trial, I would say make a lot of them, until your judges seem to be pissed off at you, or you don't have an argument, or you know it's just nothing. I would make the objections. In real life, you, as the judge said, you really have to be conscious of that, because actually it's kind of a lot like mock trial if you think about it. We're up here, we don't really care about the facts whatsoever. I mean, if you ask me what the facts of the case are, I don't really know. I don't remember a lot of the things that happened because they happened so quickly. You guys know the case really well. We don't know the case at all. I look at how you're acting, how you respond to things. Usually I look at how you respond to objections, evidence being coming in, coming out, your posture, the play that you have with the witness. If you're on cross-examination, the play that you have with a witness who you know is cracking a joke, and when you react with a big old smile, it makes you seem normal, you know? Overall, I think everybody did a good job. If you want to talk to me afterwards, it's fine.
My name's Kevin Foisey. I'm a 3L at Chase Law in Kentucky. I competed at Eastern for a few years. I compete at law school, and I also coach a law school team. You know, I echo what they all said. You know, y'all did a good job, but at the same time, it's earlier in the year, and you know, you got a lot of ways to go till February and a lot of growth to be made. I think y'all have a great foundation of where it's going to be coming from. Now, speaking of like specifics of the trial, in your close, you said that all the evidence we heard today was unreliable. You presented evidence. So to say that all evidence that we've heard today is unreliable really hurts you guys pretty bad. The $200,000 thing, I thought that was the best question I heard all day. Ask you about the $200,000, and I would have pounded that in my close. And I would have had to ask the witness to explain where she got the $200,000.
Well,
I know there's no good way to do it.
Yeah. What typically happens is they enter in the bank statement to actually like show you the $200,000 deposit, and then she would be like,
Well, I gamble, so.
yeah,
that's where
or
I got
something
it.
like that. But we usually say that the bank statement's inaccurate, and I didn't want to enter that into evidence, so I was like, oh,
Right.
I'm just gonna let her explain away herself.
Right. But when you asked
Yeah,
it,
I see
you
what you're
have to,
saying.
you know.
Yeah.
I feel like you have a great voice. I personally, Bruce Molly, I don't like to laugh when the witness makes a joke. When the witness I'm cross-examining makes a joke, but I mean I can see both sides of the fence there. Makes you seem like a real person. Y'all pretty much stood still most of the time. There wasn't a lot of movement, and there wasn't. I mean, more importantly than movement is moving with a purpose. And you can convey a lot to a jury, not just by what you're talking about, but how you move and your body language, and if you signal your hands this way or that way. As a trial attorney, you have to use everything you have available to you. You know, whether it's your voice, whether it's how you move, whether it's how you work with your hands, and that all conveys a message to a jury. If you stand in one spot, the jury's going to zone out. They're just going to be looking at the wall. They're not going to. But if you move, now I got to move my head. I got to see where you're at, while you're talking. So I would like to see a little more movement. Other than that, I thought you did well. And there's a lot of work to be done moving forward. And I'm sure that you guys, if you saw yourselves now in February, would kick your ass. So, great job.
Real quick point, I wanted to follow up on style and objections. You develop your own style. You should certainly need to know your objections. There's a lot of different styles attorneys use for objections. I know in your exercise here, you weren't allowed to object during opening and closing. And I remember when I went to law school 100 years ago, they said, oh, you never object during opening and closing. Yeah, they weren't allowed to.
Really?
Yeah, they weren't allowed to. It was part of the rules in this. Now, there's an attorney that practices in front of me right now, and it's part of his game. Last trial I had with him, I have to be on my toes from the second I sit on the bench. He objected 6 times in opening and 7 times in closing. And it's like, it's in a sense annoying, but he's really sharp on the law. And you don't make nonsensical or pointless objections, but he really gets the opposing counsel off their game. And he's usually right on point with the law, and he says, well, you can't argue an opening statement. It's not rule, and he'll cite the rules saying that you're not allowed to argue. And then he'll say, well, you're misstating the evidence in closing and so forth. You have to kind of see how the trial's going. Relevance, for example, that's a way overused objection. Almost everything's relevant to some degree. Now, some of it's very prejudicial
Yeah.
or whatever, but that's usually not a good objection unless somebody's just way out in left field. And if you have like 4 or 5 objections in a row go against you, then you might want to cool it a little bit, because then it kind of looks like the judge is telling the jury, this attorney doesn't know what they're doing, because I'm ruling against them all day long.
On the same note, there was a relevance objection and a hearsay objection. You made the relevance objection, you made the hearsay objection. If you would have argued anything to that relevance objection, I would have overruled it. But I don't know who it was that was up there, but you just said, I'll move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's something to argue, argue. You know, if you just move on, then I can't rule in your favor. You know, if you say yes, but we'll just take a limiting instruction, I can't overrule her
Oh,
based
I
on
remember
that.
what it was.
So my advice that if somebody's objecting to what you're doing, at least have some sort of argument to make to defend yourself. Because if you don't make an argument, I can't rule in your favor.
And I don't know, what I always did when I tried cases is, and I even do it as a judge in a bench trial particularly, is I always have a list of the elements right there, and I'm looking for testimony that supports one side or the other in each. It's like a checklist you're going through, and that also helps you with your objections. You have, there's all kind of, Michigan has something through ICL, for instance, objections at a glance. And you say, you know, objection, asked and answered, or whatever. Because a lot of people stumble on objections. They're objecting, and it's like, it doesn't sound right, but what the hell's wrong with it? You know,
Right.
that sort of thing. You want to be able to, state the reason for it right away. Good job.
Good job.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Would y'all have put a guilty verdict or a not guilty verdict?
I don't know. You know,
How about you tell us, Judge?
he's qualified to make
Yeah.
this decision. Not so much.
You know,
That's a not guilty.
in the beginning, I don't know. I would say probably not guilty. I would say probably not. I think there was enough doubt raised, but I wasn't looking at it from the outset of trying to determine this. I was evaluating performances.
Yeah.
I would
So-
say, between the 2 trials I've seen now, I think there is enough evidence for a guilty
Yeah.
verdict.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I really do.
And the 2, I saw the same thing. They didn't hit home hard enough on the $200,000.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, and the napkin, I don't know, the napkin thing, even though